Sometimes a company does really good in one area and then they don't do so great in other areas. Smith & Wesson, they produce really good firearms, but when it comes to outsourcing and just putting their brand on various things, sometimes they don't do the best job at that. They do cut corners and they don't always deliver the quality that would be on par to their firearms. And over the years, there's a lot of hit and misses with their products. Now, for the most part, their handcuffs have been pretty good. Their batons have been, they're acceptable on some level, not the greatest. They did come out with some new batons this year, but that's a whole nother story. They do have a line of apparel. They have bags. They have eye protection, hearing protection. They have all kind of shooting sports accessories. They have multi-tools, which typically are not looked at, in a very serious way. If you're someone that really needs a really hardcore, heavy-duty multi-tool or one that's just made with precision, you're probably not going to go with a Smith & Wesson. It's not that they make horrible multi-tools. It's just you just wouldn't go there as your first choice. And then, of course, they're cutting tools in general. Now, Smith & Wesson, at the time of this video, they have Performance Center cutting tools. They have decent blade steel. They're made in the USA. You're going to pay for it, though. But they also have a lot of other cutting tools that are much more affordable that are imported. And they've been doing that for years. And so what about those? I've been purchasing Smith & Wesson cutting tools for about 25 years now, and it's just been off and on. Some years I've bought nothing from them, and some years I bought several things from them. And some years I've gotten some things as gifts that happen to be Smith & Wesson cutting tools. So over the years, I've had the opportunity to actually experience dozens, and I mean dozens, of Smith & Wesson cutting tools. And my overall, kind of experience with them and in opinion is that they're kind of hit and miss, but when you get a good one, they're a pretty good knife for the price. And what I've noticed in the last few years is that they're really doing better with their blade steels. They're putting better quality blade steels on their blades, and the prices are pretty respectable. I think you're getting a pretty good value for the most part. Some of their designs are kind of way out there that are not appealing to me at all, but they may appeal to you. But recently I've got a question from a subscriber about this combo set. And they saw it over there at Blade HQ, and here's an image of it right here. And so you get a folding blade and a fixed blade for less than $20. Now that's before like any kind of shipping or tax, but basically for like $10 a piece, roughly speaking. The question has been or was posed, is that a good deal? Is this something that I could consider? Because I'm on an extreme budget. This person is in college and they want to just have some kind of beater knives, just go out in the woods, and they don't have any cutting tools at all. So that they're just looking for something. So they were thinking, this set kind of looks cool. It has cool colors. It has a feel of tactical coolness. What about this? Well, it wouldn't be my first choice. And if you only have $20, this is what I would do. I would get a Mora knife. You can get a very, very basic Mora knife. Sometimes they go on sale for like $7, $8, even on Blade HQ. So check that out. And the remaining amount of money, you might be able to get an entry-level, very basic Swiss Army knife, a Swiss Army knife. Now, you may have to save a few more dollars to get the one you want, but I would go that route. A basic Swiss Army knife and a Mora knife would be like a really good starter set. Okay? But in terms of the question at hand, is this combo set something to consider? Well, it probably wouldn't be the worst thing out there to buy. If you just really are set on it and you just like how it looks, just note though that you're buying very simple steel in these blades. And the materials are going to be obviously very cost effective because it's a very inexpensive set. But in terms of the blade steel though, it might not be a bad thing that they're giving you very simple steel, because if you're new to all this and if you're not really familiar with how to maintain a blade and you don't really know how to sharpen a blade, then this could give you a lot of opportunity to learn. So in this particular blade set, I did a little bit of research, and the blade steel has a very low carbon content, which is going to do several things. First, it's going to be able to be more rust resistant. So if you don't know how to maintain your blades, well, having something like this might not be that bad. The only downside, though, is that with most blade steels, the lower the carbon content, the less that you're going to be able to maintain an edge on your blade. So that means you're just going to have to sharpen your blade a little more, if not a lot more, in this case. But if you're new to all this and you're new to sharpening or honing your blade, this could give you a lot of practice opportunities to do that. So it's not like you couldn't use this blade off and on throughout the day at a campsite. You could before you would need to re-hone it. But this is a kind of a blade. These are kind of blade steels that you probably would want to touch it up every day or every other day, just depending on how much use you have with them. But they're usable. It's not like you cut open a cardboard box or open a letter and the blade dulls out. And it probably won't be that bad. But just know that there's going to be some major limitations because the price is so low and the steel is what it is. Now, the other element that's kind of a positive is that because the blade steel is so soft and it has such a low carbon content, it will be a pretty tough steel. So don't get this confused with edge retention. And so it's not going to be able to hold an edge very well, but just because the blade is going to be so soft overall, it's going to be really hard to chip this blade. You'll be more apt to roll the edge. You're not going to probably have a lot of problems with just breaking the blade. It's going to be more resistant. So it has more toughness. So that can be a bonus too, for the beginner. Especially if you kind of don't know how to maintain or care for the knife and you possibly abuse it a few times, it may be more apt to survive the abuse. So those are just some thoughts, So go ahead and get this set if you're just set on it, but also look into Mora knives and Swiss Army knives. And you can just do a quick search for budget knives if you're looking for individual pocket knives that are like one-hand opening. Because I know for a lot of people, they don't want a two-handed opening slip joint Swiss Army knife. For a lot of people, that's just not desirable. So they just want a knife that has a pocket clip and a means to open the blade with one hand, maybe even close the blade with one hand. And that's what they're looking for. So, there's a lot of those options out there, between $20 and $30 that are going to be very good for the beginner. And if you can even save up to around $40 to $50, maybe even $60, wow, the world just opens up. So just some things to think about. But hey, thanks for the question, and hope this helps someone else out there. I know that some people are looking at options and they see these combo deals and they see Smith & Wesson or another kind of recognizable brand, and they're like, whoa, how can they sell two blades for like less than $20? That's like less than $10 each. Well, just know because you're getting very basic, simple materials, and it is what it is. But it may be all you need, If you're just a person that goes out camping once a year and it's just for one weekend, this might be all you need. This may be all you need. But for those people who kind of put their blades to a little bit more use and they really want a lot more capability in case things get crazy and they just need that capability, or maybe you just have a job and you have to cut a lot, in your job for whatever it is. Maybe you work in the warehouse and you have to cut straps or cut down boxes all day, then, this particular example of this combo deal is not going to be for you. It'll dull out probably within an hour or so, easily, cutting cardboard boxes. So just know the limitations, and if you're okay with those limitations, then go for it. But just know, though, that there are some amazing high-value options that are still out there for $10 or less, especially for the fixed blades. They're not going to be the prettiest things out there, but they're going to be really functional. And so just be aware that there are options. And if you're new to all this, do the research before you make impulse buys, because you might be shocked of all the choices that you just didn't know about, and maybe you also will find the motivation to say, okay, just because I have $20 now doesn't mean that I have to spend it. Maybe I need to double or triple that amount and really get something that's really going to be better for me. It's going to really be something that I can be proud of and I can have for a long time, if not the rest of my life. And, it'll just be a better use of that money. So there are some people who just feel like, I got $20. It's burning a hole through my pocket. I need to burn it up and I need to spend it right now. But you know what? It typically is better if you just find out what you really need and want. And if you haven't saved enough, then you continue to save and then you get what you really need and want. So that you're satisfied and, and things are just better that way. Because what's going to happen is down the road, you're just going to continue to look for something else because what you have isn't going to be enough. It just isn't going to meet your needs and you may just not like it. It could just be that simple, so it's just best to go ahead and do the work now and find what it is that you really should buy that's best for you, and go with that and not worry about, okay, I have to have something right now, because you don't typically have to have something right now. Most people can wait a few days, a few weeks, a few months. It's not a problem. Now, if you have a camping trip coming up like next weekend, well, then you may want to get something. But once again, do the research now, though. Put a few hours into it and find something that you can at least use for a few years. And then maybe over time you can upgrade. But I would never rush into a purchase if you didn't have to, So that's enough of that. Thanks for checking the video out. We'll catch you later.